Let's talk about the real millennial nightmare: student loans. It's not just a personal problem, it's a national emergency. The U.S. student loan debt is now a staggering $1.8 trillion, yes, trillion with a T. That's more than the total credit card debt and auto loan debt in the country combined. The average millennial owes over $30,000, a burden handed to them right after graduation. But for many, the number is much higher. 1 in 5 borrowers owes more than $50,000. They were promised a golden ticket to the middle class, but got a lifetime of debt instead. For example, Sarah, a public school teacher in Ohio, pays $400 a month, but her balance keeps growing. This isn't a few bad decisions, it's a crisis affecting over 43 million Americans. That's roughly 1 in every 8 people in the US. Millennials are the most educated and the most indebted generation in history. Nearly 40% of adults under 30 have a bachelor's degree or higher, but many are trapped by debt. Tuition costs have skyrocketed. Public college tuition has more than tripled since the 1980s. Compounding interest turns manageable loans into monsters, making it nearly impossible to catch up. Many pay for years only to see their balances grow. In fact, over half of borrowers haven't reduced their principal after 5 years of payments. This isn't about skipping lattes, it's about a generation punished for following the rules. Real people are delaying marriage, children, and even basic healthcare because of student debt. Student debt has redefined adulthood in America, a national crisis hiding in plain sight. And for millennials, the weight of this debt shapes every major life decision. Student debt isn't just a number, it's a weight that shapes lives in ways most people never see. According to the Federal Reserve, over 60% of millennials say student loans have forced them to delay major life decisions. Homeownership, out of reach for many thanks to monthly loan payments. Sarah, a 29-year-old teacher, says, "We had to put our dream home on hold. Our debt-to-income ratio was just too high." Starting a family, delayed or abandoned, not by choice but by necessity. Experts warn, this could reshape America's demographics for decades. Retirement? Millennials are saving little, not from irresponsibility, but from lack of funds. Data shows the average millennial has less than $20,000 saved for retirement, half of what Gen X had at the same age. The result, an entire generation unable to build wealth, setting up a future economic crisis. As financial analyst Dr. Kim notes, we're looking at a ticking time bomb. The psychological toll is immense. Constant anxiety, depression, and hopelessness. "It feels like drowning," says Marcus, a 32-year-old engineer. Every decision from healthcare to career moves is colored by debt. Many turn down dream jobs or needed medical care, fearing they can't afford a misstep. The crisis has stolen not just money, but freedom and opportunity. Studies estimate over $400 billion in lost economic activity each year. It's not a generational preference, it's a forced reality. As policy analyst Dr. Lee says, millennials aren't choosing this, they're surviving it. Student debt has quietly reshaped what it means to be an adult in America. For millions, the dominoes keep falling, one loan payment at a time. Surely there are programs to help, right? Technically, yes, IDR and PSLF. But let's look at how these were supposed to work, and what actually happened. On paper, they promise affordable payments and eventual forgiveness. PSLF, launched in 2007, was meant to reward public servants after 10 years of payments. IDR plans, dating back to the 1990s, were supposed to cap payments based on income. In reality, they're bureaucratic nightmares, full of confusing rules and endless paperwork. Take Sarah, a teacher who made payments for over a decade, only to be denied forgiveness due to a technicality. One wrong move, and years of progress can vanish. James, a nurse, lost all his qualifying payments after his loan servicer gave him the wrong information. PSLF's rejection rate was once 99%, almost no one qualified. Headlines told stories of thousands denied for reasons as small as a missing signature. Public servants made sacrifices, only to be denied relief over technicalities. The system's complexity punished those it was meant to help. IDR plans are so complex most borrowers can't navigate them. There are multiple versions, each with different rules, and missing a single recertification can reset your progress. Miss a recertification, and your payments can skyrocket. Maria, a social worker, saw her payment triple after missing a single deadline. These programs often make debt worse. not better. Instead of shrinking, balances grow as interest piles up and deadlines are missed. Instead of a safety net, borrowers find a trap. The very programs meant to help are riddled with pitfalls. The system is designed to fail those it claims to help. Decades after their creation, these programs remain a maze that most never escape. The real horror? Technicalities that reset the forgiveness clock, sometimes for reasons buried deep in legal jargon. Consolidate your loans? You might lose years of qualifying payments. One borrower shared, "I followed the advice, but my progress vanished overnight." Forbearance sounds helpful, but interest piles up and those months don't count toward forgiveness. Legal experts warn, forbearance is a trap for the unwary. Millions have been steered into forbearance instead of affordable plans, losing years and money. "I trusted the servicer, but it cost me dearly," says another borrower. "The rules are so convoluted, even servicers get them wrong." Legal hotlines are flooded with calls from borrowers desperate for clarity. Borrowers play a rigged game, goalposts move, rules change, and paperwork errors erase progress. "One typo and my application was denied," recalls a borrower. Previous generations faced simpler systems. Millennials are guinea pigs for broken policy. Legal scholars note, the complexity is unprecedented. The promise of forgiveness is often a mirage. "It feels like the rules are designed to keep us in debt," says one millennial. Payments made in good faith can be wiped out by a single technicality. Legal aid groups see this every day. The system punishes those trying to do the right thing. "I tried to follow the rules, but the rules kept changing," says another. Millennials are left paying for policy experiments gone wrong. Legal advocates are calling for urgent reform. The result? A generation trapped by a system built to confuse. "We're drowning in paperwork and red tape," says one borrower. The dream of debt relief is always just out of reach, unless the system itself is fixed. "I paid off my loans, why can't they?" A common refrain from older generations. But is it really the same journey? College was far cheaper for them. Tuition has soared 300% since 1980, while wages stagnated. As Dr. Patel, a higher education economist, puts it, today's students face a fundamentally different financial reality. A summer job once covered tuition. Now, it barely covers textbooks. "Back in my day, I worked at the local diner and paid off my semester," recalls one baby boomer. For millennials, even two jobs can't keep up. Millennials face mountains of debt, not molehills. It's not just the amount, it's the interest, the fees, the endless paperwork, says student loan counselor Maria Lopez. Interest rates were lower, and Pell Grants covered more of the cost. "My Pell Grant paid for almost everything," remembers a Gen X graduate. Today, it barely makes a dent. Society once invested in young people. Now, it saddles them with debt and lectures them about spending. "We're told to stop buying lattes, but the real issue is systemic," says financial journalist Alex Kim. "Family support was more common thanks to a stronger economy and affordable housing. My parents bought their house for less than my student debt," shares one millennial. Many millennials inherit financial instability, not wealth. "We're starting from behind," says financial advisor Jordan Lee. "The right way was a path that no longer exists. The rules changed, but no one told us," says recent graduate Maya. "Comparing past and present is like comparing a paper airplane to a jet. The scale, speed, and stakes are worlds apart." The system has changed and so have the stakes. "We need new solutions, not old comparisons," urges policy expert Dr. Nguyen. The easy path is gone, replaced by a debt trap. For millennials, the myth of the easy path is just that. A myth, shattered by reality. If the system is broken, why not just forgive the debt? The idea sounds simple, but the reality is anything but. For decades, broad forgiveness has been a political football, tossed around since the first federal student loans in the 1960s, but never resolved. Every administration faces the same gridlock. Proponents argue that canceling debt would boost the economy, close the racial wealth gap, and correct decades of failed policy. Politicians like Warren and Sanders have made it a rallying cry, but even under Obama, major forgiveness efforts stalled. Opponents, meanwhile, frame forgiveness as unfair handouts, arguing it rewards irresponsibility and punishes those who paid their debts. This narrative has blocked reform for generations, ignoring the real crisis. The Biden administration made the boldest move yet, promising broad forgiveness. But the Supreme Court struck it down, echoing past legal challenges that have derailed reform. Even with political will, legal roadblocks are immense. Courts have repeatedly ruled that sweeping forgiveness exceeds executive authority, forcing Congress to act, and Congress rarely agrees. The result? Relief remains a pipe dream, as each new effort gets bogged down in politics, lawsuits, and bureaucracy. Millennials are left trapped, waiting for a solution that never comes. The crisis continues, unresolved, caught between history, politics, and the courts. After broad forgiveness was blocked, the government shifted to targeted relief, programs aimed at specific groups, not everyone. Fixes to PSLF and IDR have helped some, like Sarah, a teacher in Detroit, who finally saw her balance erased after years of confusion. Account adjustments, relief for defrauded borrowers, and those with disabilities have changed lives. For those helped, it's life-changing. Listen to Mark, a nurse who says, "I can finally think about buying a home." But this approach is slow and limited, like emptying the ocean with a teaspoon. Policy experts warn that these fixes, while important, don't address the root causes. Most borrowers see no relief. The system remains broken. Interviews with affected borrowers reveal frustration and confusion. Many eligible people don't even know they qualify. "I had no idea I could apply," says Jasmine, a social worker, or they can't navigate the process. Policy analysts point to a maze of paperwork and shifting requirements. These are patches, not solutions. As one expert puts it, we're treating symptoms, not the disease. The debt machine keeps running for the next generation. New students take on loans every year, repeating the cycle. For most millennials, the burden remains. The stories of those left out far outnumber those helped. It's a glimmer of hope, not a sunrise. But for some, that glimmer means everything. In most cases, bankruptcy is meant to offer Americans a fresh start from crushing debt. But for millions of millennials, that promise is broken. Federal student loans are nearly impossible to discharge in bankruptcy. In fact, over 99% of bankruptcy filings with student loans fail to get those debts erased. Since the 1970s, laws have made student debt inescapable. Congress changed the rules after a handful of abuses, but the result was a system that punishes everyone. To discharge student loans, you must prove certainty of hopelessness, a standard so strict, even legal experts call it nearly impossible. Attorney Lisa Stifler says, "It's a bar so high, most people don't even try." Lenders face no risk, fueling reckless lending and skyrocketing tuition. Since 1980, average tuition has increased by over 200%, far outpacing inflation. Universities raise prices, knowing loans are guaranteed. As one university president admitted, "We know students can always get loans. Millennials can't escape student debt, even in bankruptcy." Take Sarah, a 32-year-old teacher. After losing her job, she filed for bankruptcy. Her credit card debt was wiped clean, but her $80,000 in student loans remained. Experts call it a financial prison with no exit. For many, the stress is overwhelming. Other debts, credit cards, medical bills, can be wiped clean, but student loans follow you for life. The safety net is gone, leaving borrowers trapped. As one borrower told Congress, "I did everything right, but I'm still stuck. There's no way out." The student debt crisis isn't about personal failure, it's systemic. But across the country, millennials are rising above the weight of their loans, organizing, sharing their stories, and demanding change. Decades of policy failures, disinvestment, and broken programs created this mess. But every time someone speaks out, it chips away at the stigma and brings us closer to real solutions. Millennials did what they were told, only to find themselves trapped. Yet many are turning their frustration into action, launching nonprofits, running for office, and helping others navigate the system. Blaming them is like blaming the canary for dying in the coal mine. Instead, let's listen to their warnings and work together for change. Piecemeal fixes aren't enough. We need a total overhaul. Restore bankruptcy protections, simplify forgiveness, and make education affordable. Join local advocacy groups, contact your representatives, and demand bold action. The current system holds back an entire generation and the economy, but together we can rewrite the rules and create a future where opportunity isn't chained to debt. Stop blaming borrowers. The problem is the system. Stand up, speak out, and support each other. It's time to build something that works for everyone. Your voice matters. Be part of the movement for change. Because a dream that comes with a lifetime of debt isn't a dream, it's a nightmare. But together, we can turn that nightmare into a new beginning.